And let's just talk about New Hampshire and its place in the country. We view the New Hampshire primary as not just a New Hampshire primary, but as an American tradition. The understanding amongst people in this state is that we're on the front lines of the American presidential selection process, and we're doing a huge service for the country. It's not a question of being favored. You look at the money. We don't make much money on this. In fact, a recent study showed that we would make probably more on 1 weekend of NASCAR racing than we make in the whole process. So it's not a question of the money. People spend, turnout you'll see is going to be close to 70%, it always is. So people are invested in it. And it's not also about just finding the right candidate that fits in with their ideology. It's not that at all. If that were the case, I think that would compromise the primary. I would point out to the union leaders' endorsement of John McCain, someone with whom they have significant policy disagreements. People in New Hampshire try to discern the leadership abilities, the character, the content of his character. That's what we try to do. And the union leader looked at the various candidates and came up with the idea that McCain, is most uniquely qualified to lead. Disagreeing on campaign finance reform, disagreeing on immigration. We go down the list. So it's not about, and that makes New Hampshire unique. People have said, oh, New Hampshire is too white. But if we really heed the words of Martin Luther King, we don't pay attention, or we look beyond the color of one's skin and we look at the content of the character. I would suggest that that's what New Hampshire is doing, because New Hampshire thinks like America. In New Hampshire, 35% of the people identify themselves as conservative, about 30% identify themselves as moderate, and about 22 to 25% identify themselves as liberal. That mirrors the national average. And now why should New Hampshire be first? In the absence of serious national campaign finance reform, New Hampshire, with its tradition of retail politics, brings something special. And this is what all Americans, it's not just a New Hampshire primary, all our debates are on national TV, all the coffees and everything, it's a national press constantly. So it is a national primary that takes place in New Hampshire. That's what it's turned into. But what happens in New Hampshire? Those candidates are held accountable. They have to talk. They have to shake people's hands. They have to deal with annoying questions. Take away the New Hampshire primary. Do the regional proposals. Give into that. And this is what we're left with. Media blitz. I can become president because all I have to do is target Chicago, LA, Dallas, Fort Worth, New York, Philadelphia. I win. New Hampshire has a brand name. People in Illinois, people in Indiana, people in Kentucky who are carrying on doing other things and who might be sort of interested in it know that people, for historical reasons, and we continue to do it well, this is part of our state political culture. And so if you win this state, we're telling the country, they pass muster. The kinds of concerns that New Hampshireites have are the same concerns that everyone has. Healthcare, housing, all of that. But again, it's not, when we're meeting these candidates, it's not about which one is going to give us the best deal, it's which one is best suited to lead.
What do you mean by retail politics?
Retail politics?
Yeah.
Having a candidate in your kitchen, having a cup of coffee with that person, and talking about issues that matter to that citizen. And it's happening not once, not twice, but thousands of times. Let me talk about the role of money in New Hampshire. If I were to draw a circle around this room, and we travel an hour from circle from this point out and around, you get 60% of the state's population. Any insurgency campaign can do well here. So obviously you need money, you need a car, you need a network, you need money you need food, but you don't need millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to be successful.
What are the issues this time around?
Number one issue is tax policy. And then related to that, in sort of 101A, would be leadership capabilities. Of course, people are concerned about Iraq. People are concerned about the mortgage crisis. People are concerned about health care. People are concerned about education policy. All of those issues are there, and that's what people have been talking about. Undecided are very high in New Hampshire. People are not going to make up their minds until a day or two before the election. And in fact, what's happening this year is a pattern that you see frequently. There's be a leading candidate, could be a Mondale back in '84, could be Howard Dean, could be Hillary Clinton. And then through the discernment process, which is really valued here, cracks form in the foundations of these candidates. And suddenly there's a Gary Hart that emerges. There's John McCain who emerges. There's an Obama who emerges. And again, this is not left or right. This is who's connecting with the people, who seems to have new ideas, who seems to be the leader that can take us to the next place. And frankly, I was shocked. We did a poll here at the end of October. Hillary was ahead by 22 points, and I really didn't see what's happened happen. But that's New Hampshire. New Hampshire traditionally does surprises, and with the recent poll that just came out showing her 1 point ahead, so statistically even, there's been a surge for Obama and a collapse of the Hillary Clinton campaign. So much so that her very impressive guy, Bill Shaheen, very impressive, very important New Hampshire politician, strong Democrat, went out and almost unraveled, in a sense. He had to resign from the campaign, right, because of the comments he made about drug use. This is the firewall for her. She loses New Hampshire. She loses Iowa and New Hampshire. It's going to be very difficult to go on. Very difficult. Because why? Well, two small states, why should they have that much power? Precisely because she's been working with voters, talking to voters. It's an interview process. You know, and you're not going to meet 300 million people, but you can meet 500,000. The value of this long process of retail politics, of talking and discussing discernment, is very useful. It's instructive. And I cannot really tell you a time when a verdict out of New Hampshire hasn't really been on target. With Clinton and with Bush, and both of them, I mean, they didn't do, neither of them won New Hampshire. It's a small state. It's a state that takes retail politics seriously, so we're not impressed when candidates go on Jay Leno. That does nothing. And we hold them accountable in a way that that is exactly consistent, or in harmony at least, with the vision of this country. You go to I don't know, a place like Pennsylvania, maybe they wouldn't care because there's so many other things going on. And see, there's not much else going on, which is a big factor too. No, it's snowing. I'm not convinced that people are paying attention to politics in the way that they should. And I'm not convinced that if you just put it somewhere else, say, okay, do it will take root for.
What's the campaigning been like?
Oh, the campaign in New Hampshire has been unbelievable. We started early. We have photographs of people in shorts and in short sleeves. Usually it's just parkas. So that from that point of view, it's been different. It's been a long campaign. I think it's been a wonderful campaign.